All right, everybody. We did our 5-minute grace period, and for out of respect of you all's time, I think we should go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, this is our second fundraising webinar series. So if you have not seen the first one, I highly suggest that you check us out on YouTube, where all of our webinars are posted. We also have a podcast series where we talk about issues pertaining to everything from fundraising to digital to current issues. So I would also highly suggest that you check that all out. But this webinar is going to be on social media as our fundraising campaign superpower. So we'll jump right on into the meat, and I want to start off with some quick intros, just let you know a little bit about who we are, what we do, and what we're about. So Solestrategies is a woman and minority-owned organization built by a team of political experts, and we specialize in strengthening grassroots campaigns at the community level. We offer support from digital strategy and planning to campaign fundraising, to branding and graphic design, website development, public relations and endorsements, email marketing. So we run the entire gambit of running for office or building a nonprofit agency from the ground up. My name is Terrell Finner. I am the fundraising director here. And in the fundraising department, we have two strong call time programs that we offer. One of them is our Kickstart fundraising cohort, which is a 6-week-long program. And then we have our month-to-month call time program. And I'm also joined by my colleagues here at Solestrategies. We have Karina, Pauline, Z is on the line. I see Taylor's on the line as well. And I want to leave space for them to introduce themselves before we jump into the meat of the material.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Karina. I'm the executive assistant here at Solestrategies.
Hi, everyone. It's Pauline Mellon, based out of Chicago, pronouns she, her, and I am a social media specialist here in Solestrategies.
Hi, everyone. I'm Z. I'm the executive director here at Sol. I use she, her pronouns, and yeah, we're excited to be here.
Now that we did our quick intros, I do want to give a brief overview of the content today and discuss what we have on the agenda. So we can go to the next slide. So we're going to talk about the importance of social media and fundraising. From my experience, as a former candidate and now as a fundraising director, the common thing that we run into with a lot of our candidates is they don't lean into the importance of social media and connecting that with their fundraising efforts. So then I want to talk about some call time and how call time and social media, social media presence really elevates your campaign success. We want to go into some social media management tips. Karina and Pauline will talk about website and branding, as well as digital advertising for politics. And I am really excited about this content because, making this a resource publicly available for people is extremely important to us, because a lot of good candidates for office, good people who are running for office, just don't have access to the resources that they need to help elevate their campaign. And we want to make sure that everybody has access to this information. We can jump into the next slide. Sorry. So as I mentioned, social media is really, really extremely vital for your campaign. And a lot of people are running for office. And though traditionally canvassing is very important, mailers are very important, the way that we connect with people now, for better or worse, in the digital age, means that you have to have a very strong social media presence. Nearly every person that you come in contact with across every phase of your campaign, from its infancy and it being an idea, all the way to you filing papers, running, making the ballot, and eventually getting elected, you're going to want to make sure that you portray this on social media, right? And specifically as it pertains to fundraising, every person you come in contact with and ask to support your campaign is going to absolutely scrub the internet to see what you're doing, where you are, and what your impact is in the community. So we can go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, social media is going to be that very vital campaign tool, right? It's very highly unlikely that a candidate will perform well at the polls without a strong digital presence. And so a campaign needs to utilize all forms of potential touch points, right? So you want to be doing call time, you want to be sending out mailers, you want to have a strong email marketing plan, you want to have, strong field operations, and you, of course, want to make sure that your social media is a common thread and is used kind of in concert with your other campaign efforts, right? And so, as I said, social media provides, is a vital tool, and it can provide that call to action to supplement the mailers and the call time and all the other work that you're going to be doing. And in order to do that, you got to have a plan to manage your social media, right? So I want to talk a little bit about social media management and what that really looks like for a candidate in a campaign or an organization. So social media strategy is going to be so important because it builds your proof and involvement in the community, right? Your digital presence is a reflection of your personal brand when it boils down to it, right? And great social media strategy is going to work to elevate your campaign or organization's reputation. It's going to increase your name recognition, and it's going to allow constituents to allow you to reach constituents effectively and also keep their interest, right? So we want people to go to our social media site after they've been contacted through call time or via email and be impressed by who we are, the work that we're doing, and our dedication to the community. So I want to share our top 6 strategies for social media. Number 1, when you're going into building a social media management plan, you want to make sure that it includes regular posts. When you start a new account, the algorithm is going to absolutely push content to the top of your followers' feeds if you're posting regularly, right? And posting once a day helps tremendously with that engagement. However, we got to be conscious of posting too frequently in a single day, as it runs the potential of having your account tagged for spam. And with posting regularly, you want to make sure that your posts are relevant, they're digestible, and that the content aligns with what your campaign's vision or goals are. Our second one of the top 6 strategies that we suggest is to use Twitter. If you don't like Twitter, you got to get over that. You don't have a choice. You got to use Twitter. You can't participate in politics, unfortunately, in 2022 without having a Twitter. But you want to use Twitter to make your quick points, right? And so it doesn't require you to come up with completely new and it doesn't require you to brainstorm completely new content when you're thinking about building a Twitter presence. You can literally take the language you crafted from your website and break it down into bite-sized pieces, right? You only got 140 characters. Actually, I think they raised it to 280 now. But if you have an issues page on your site, break down the issue pages, right? If there's an issue, or if healthcare is trending on Twitter, you're going to likely have an issue. Your issue page is likely going to address healthcare. And so it would behoove you to take down, look at your healthcare section, look at the issues you care about, and break that down and compress it down and push it out as a tweet, right? And so, as I said, you want to hop onto trending tweets related to your campaign or what you stand for. So get used to Twitter, get comfortable with it. The third strategy that we share is that you're going to absolutely want to document your campaign trail. So this is going to be primarily done using Instagram and Facebook to build your social proof and document the initiatives that you lead, right? So your face is always going to get engagement, especially with your future constituents, right? However, I always tell candidates your headshots are wonderful, they're phenomenal, y'all look great. People who run for office are extremely attractive people. However, leave the headshots for your website or for the first post on your social media. You want to make sure that you're using action photos instead, right? You want to make sure that the photos that you post extend some sort of personality and show your involvement in the community. So if you can get photos of you chatting with your constituents, of you doing a community service project, those are always going to get much more engagement than a simple headshot photo. The next strategy that I'll share with y'all is to engage with your followers, right? You don't want to have an account. You don't want to have all these social media accounts with phenomenal branding, with really strong content that are staying current on the issues that are happening, but you're not engaging with the followers, right? And this could be done using IG polls, posting questions on your Instagram and Instagram stories, including questions in your posts, asking your followers about the issues that they care about, right? And then you don't want to overlook community engagement. Interact with your followers in the comments section, or if they, reply to you, you want to like positive comments and always make yourself available to respond to questions, right? We want to build the habit of being a resource for your community and for your constituents before you get in office. The fifth strategy that we'll share is we highly suggest that you create short form videos. Not only do we live in the age of Twitter and Facebook, but we also got Instagram Reels and TikToks to compete with, right? And so you want to get creative with your Instagram Reels and TikToks. Those 1-minute videos are a great way to effectively catch the attention of your audience, and it really does boost the engagement. I'm not sure what it is about the algorithm, but those short videos perform so well. And the sixth strategy that we want to share is to elevate your branded content, right? And so you want to create a distinct brand that stands out in the digital space. As a candidate, you're going to be so busy and your schedule is going to be very full. And when you get in office, your schedule is going to be even more full. And so delegation of tasks is going to be essential. So you need to learn to delegate tasks to your experienced graphic designers and copywriters and other folks on your team who, have the knack for it, for creating branded content that is elevated and is seamless and is consistent across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So those are the top 6 strategies that I wanted to share. I'm now going to pass it over to my phenomenal colleague, Karina, to talk a little bit more about the specifics on website and branding.
All right. Hello again, everyone. So I'm going to discuss the website and branding portion and how that strengthens your fundraising initiatives. When Terrell was mentioning things about being consistent, being more streamlined, and having that cohesion within your campaign, not just within the fundraising side, as well as the canvassing, as well as the digital side. So a lot of candidates that we work with usually just stop at the visual aspects of being cohesive. But beyond that, we want to have a cohesive experience that extends to your messaging as well as the experience in itself. When someone visits your website, there's an immediate call to action. There's an immediate ask that you're looking to accomplish. So we start with having the essentials of your website. So there are 5 sections that your website absolutely needs to have in order to be a great campaign website. So that's the homepage, calls to action, the About You page, your platform, and a contact and connect section. So your homepage is the first thing visitors see in your website. So it's imperative to have your updated logos and as well as a high quality portrait where visitors can immediately understand where you're running in and what your campaign is all about. In case you want to highlight important endorsements, those are also a great way to establish social proof and credibility within your campaign. So the next aspect that you need to have in your website are your calls to action. So these calls to action can either focus on getting donations or getting more volunteers for your campaign. So a great example that we worked on is India Walton's campaign for the mayoral race in Buffalo last year. So in this race, she was going against a very established incumbent in a very competitive race. So we needed to highlight the intense need to out-fundraise her opponent. Our typical approach here would be to make the donate button visible at the top header of each page, as well as include, it may not be so clear, but usually in the sites that we create, there's usually a call to action at the very top of every page, asking visitors to subscribe to the mailing list just so they are updated with the latest campaign updates. And of course, at the homepage, we also try to emphasize, contribute to the campaign section, which is directly connected to ActBlue. So every time a visitor wants to donate, these buttons can immediately direct them to ActBlue and shorten that whole process. So it's all about streamlining the experience beyond the visuals. Next is the About page. So this is where visitors of the website learn more about you as well as about your campaign. In our fundraising program, we emphasize the importance of building your why and establishing your values as a candidate and as an individual. So the About page is really important in highlighting all those key aspects and making visitors more aware of why you're really running and why they should be supporting you. A great way to add engagement here would be to include any videos that are typically used for advertisement, as well as any successes that you've had as a community advocate. And then, of course, the next section that your website needs to have is your platform. So when creating your policy page, make sure that the main points about your platform is highlighted at the top. And the other aspects of your campaign that are also important, but not as urgent, or other points that you'd want to address as well, are placed at the bottom. So typically, the most important information needs to appear at the top of each page to give more emphasis and to immediately engage and catch the attention of the visitors. And the next section that you'd like to have is a contact and connect section. So these will make it easier for visitors to find out where to find you, the office hours of your headquarters, as well as any social links that you'd like them to find very easily. And I know that we started this webinar in the context of politics, but in action, this is another website that we have for Moses. So this is what that will look like in the context of a nonprofit. So we place a lot of importance in simplicity to make websites more digestible and cleaner, so it won't overwhelm any visitors, and we are able to properly highlight the information that we want them to see immediately. So parsing website content down and creating an easy to understand graphic that can attract their attention can really help the user experience as well. So the design that we choose helps portray messages and feelings that words can't. So good design should leave you with more answers than questions, while bad design often leaves you with more questions than answers. So if you have to explain a design, it means it's not great design. But if no one is asking questions about how to use a certain website or where to find certain sections of the website, it means that what we did is quite effective in delivering our message as well as our client's message. So similarly, here are other examples of what we did for the website and rebranding for our other candidates. All right, so we may use different approaches for candidates, different color schemes, but we always ensure that it's relevant to their personal brand as well as the district that they are running from. So from the website, literature, to the social media pages, we want to make sure that there is a cohesiveness, so your brand will easily be recognizable wherever they will see it, whether it's through canvassing, whether it's through your Act Blue pages. You really want to have that distinct branding that anyone can easily recognize and associate with you, just so you remain the top of their mind, and it will be easier to remember your policy points as well as who you are as a candidate. All right. And next, we go to digital advertising for politics. And I believe Pauline will be covering this section.
Hi, it's me again, Dr. Ernest. How are you? Thanks for being here. And thanks, Karina and Terrell. You both brought up really insightful knowledges and information. So today we're going to talk about digital advertising for politics, and we are going to concentrate on Facebook. So media buying has evolved. It used to be just an add-on, but there's no such thing as organic reach anymore. It has become such a necessity if you want to reach your voters and gain more followers. So back in 2017, 5 years ago, a strategy would look like audience testing, multiple campaigns, and high production on the creatives. So back then, creatives would really look very inspiring and aspirational. But now in 2022, 5 years later, there are more emphasis on testing creatives, hooks, and angles. And this is where strategic messaging comes to play. If you're going to recall, Terrell earlier, he mentioned about your big why. So we always want to make every messaging consistent, regardless if we're using any types of platform, regardless if it's TikTok or Facebook or Twitter. We want your audiences to hear you, your tone. So when it comes to angle testing, having a strong strategic plan makes ad buying fail-proof. Second point, how it changed. We now do only maximum of 3 campaigns. Back then, you would do multiple campaigns all at once. And nowadays, the style for the graphic is just more organic looking, more raw looking. If you have noticed, I'm not sure if you're familiar with TikTok, but most people nowadays, they just feel more comfortable, feel more authentic, just talking to the camera, just letting them know about you. And I think it's really, really relevant and more effective. So yes, a lot has changed, but ads don't have to be expensive. It's actually cheaper than what most people think. And don't overcomplicate advertising. Just having a deeper understanding of who you're talking to and show them how your platform issues solve the problems in your community will be a great help. Next slide, please. So number one, again, 3 things to do to get started on your Facebook ads. Number 1, verify your identity. So Facebook does not really prefer using ads for political candidates, but there's always ways to do things. And for number 1, you can submit information about you. This can be done by submitting an ID and your mailing address, and you have to make sure that the name in your ID matches what you have in Facebook. This is common misconception. People usually think that it's easy and instant, that you can instantly post an ad on Facebook, but it's usually the most common roadblock that political pages run into. Verification usually takes 2 to 3 weeks to be processed. So be aware. Next slide, please. Number 2, review your page permissions. So only page admins can run ads in Facebook pages. Ensure that the permissions and roles are properly set up and up to date. If there's any digital team that are not with you anymore, try to take them away just to make sure that you are still the proper owner of your page. Next slide, please. And the last but most important thing, if you're working with, let's say you will be working with us, is to disable your two-factor authentication. So we would love to establish trust, and we would love Facebook to know us going on your Facebook page, and we would only be able to, set up the audiences and do A/B tests if your two-factor authentication is turned off. Next slide, please. So these were our sample ads for India Walton. As you can see, there are different types of messaging, but it is very consistent to her branding and to her tone, her personality. You can see with the messaging that it's very simple. Like usually the maximum would be 3 sentences because it speaks for her. You can just see it, and the branding is very strong. If I just scroll on my Facebook right now, I can tell without even reading the sentences that it's by India Walton. So with Facebook ads and social media management and website management as well, I believe these are very strong to help out with their fundraising campaign. Terrell?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, both Paulina and Karina. Pauline and Karina for sharing your insight, specifically around Facebook and social media marketing, and really connecting that to Facebook. I do want to take a moment before we get ready to wrap up to open the floor for any questions that might exist. If you have any questions, just you can unmute and just jump right on in. So I'll leave a moment to see if anybody has any questions specifically about Facebook or the connection between fundraising and social media presence, or running Facebook ads, which can be extremely complicated and a multiple weeks long experience. So I will hold the floor for a few minutes, see if we have any questions or concerns or feedbacks or any issues or concerns that y'all might want us to elaborate on. Now is your time. Don't everybody go all at once.
Well, I want to say I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And like I said, I use all those websites, and she's right about Facebook. Facebook is a pain. They're still holding off on my other side where you can do the advertising. If you want to do something, probably Twitter is going to be easier. The people that work at Twitter are more easy to help you work with ads and do things of that nature for a political, I guess, for a political office than Facebook is. So
Absolutely.
if you look at, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see that you can click on it, but also got different links in there where you can go to other pages, which makes it much easier.
Yeah.
But thank y'all all. I appreciate you both.
I will say, having those Facebook ads up is extremely important, and you gotta, it is a bit of a challenge sometimes working with Facebook. But the great thing about Facebook is, the upside of it is that Instagram and Facebook are connected. So as you begin to push content on Facebook or Instagram or vice versa, the two platforms are connected. You got to have Facebook, and running those ads can be quite a challenge. And we love to help candidates get their Facebook ads up and running, as well as build a Twitter presence. So I do want to talk a little bit more, because I know that y'all might be like, this is a fundraising webinar. Like, why are we talking so much about digital, right? You can't choose one or the other, right? Like, we always get into the battle between call time and social media and which one a candidate should focus on more. And it's really not choosing one or the other, right? Call time and social media is going to equal success for your campaign. So the key to winning your race for office is engaging your voters in multiple ways, on multiple occasions, right? So you can have the strongest call time program known to man, but if you don't have a digital presence that's strong or cohesive, and you don't have a social media management plan in place, you are not going to perform in the way that you thought that you would, and vice versa, right? So if you invest heavily in social media and digital presence, and you're running an online race and you don't do call time or field, or you don't have a strong website, you're not going to perform in the way that you think that you are, right? Like, the majority of people in call time will go straight to your website, Instagram, Twitter, after a phone call. You send people a mailer, the first thing they're going to do is Google your name. And then we know Google pushes Ballotpedia, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to the top of any search result, right? So you want to make sure that you are showing out, right, on all levels of campaigning, not just investing so much in social media that you're not investing in call time, and not investing so much in call time that you haven't made a tweet in weeks, or you haven't made a post in weeks, right? So combining those, both the call time, the social media presence, is going to increase your campaign's visibility and success. For social media and fundraising work together to carry that campaign from its infancy all the way through election day, and then eventually re-election, right? So just be careful not to cut corners with social media and building a strong social media presence when you're out doing call time, or out canvassing, or out doing field organizing, right? And you don't need to get all of these different agencies to help support on each one of those. SoleStrategies has your back. With us, you get that holistic approach. We can do the fundraising, we can do the digital, the field operations, endorsements, phone bank, and email marketing. And so having that one-stop shop of team, of really campaign team members at that point come in to propel your campaign forward, or propel your organization forward, is what we do. Again, that strong social media presence is going to equal strong digital fundraising presence, which is going to equal a strong chance at winning your election. Thank you all for your time. If you all have any follow-up questions, you can reach out to us at marketing@solestrategies. You can also visit our website at sole.strategies.com. We're very happy to do, a website audit in our conversations with you. We would like to make ourselves available to folks who are serious and passionate about running grassroots races. And we've worked with several hundred campaigns at this point, and are very experienced from every level, from the top of the ballot all the way down. And those local races are so important, and it can be won simply with having call time, social media, and strong field. And we will help you with that. So if there are no other questions, thank you all for your time. Yes, Kevin, this is going to be online, so everything will be online. We'll make sure to make the resources available. There are other resources that we have as well. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that we do have a podcast, as well as other webinar series that are available. So no worries about anything you might have missed. We will make sure to make it available and guide you in the right direction so that you can win your election. Yes, and please follow us online. I know that many of you are already part of our listserv, but we want to make sure that we keep in contact. All right, everyone. Thank you for y'all's time this evening. Please stay safe. Keep doing the hard work. Stay busy. Make sure you're doing your call time, your social media is strong, and that if you need help with any of these aspects of your campaign, that you reach out to us. We are more than happy to help support the work that you're doing here at SoleStrategies. So thank you all for your time, and y'all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.